Professional engineers, professional structural engineers, and professional land surveyors licensed in the state of Utah must use a custom seal on important documents. There is often confusion among both new licensees and those who've been working in their profession for decades about when to use their seal, who is allowed to use a seal, and what happens if they use their seal incorrectly. Let's clarify some of these points. Engineer and land surveyor seals are circular, 1.5 inches in diameter, includes the licensee's name, their license number, the words "the state of Utah," and, depending on their profession, either professional engineer, professional structural engineer, or professional land surveyor. A seal can be a wet stamp, embossed, or electronically produced, depending on the licensee's choice. When a professional uses their seal, they must sign and date across the seal's face to finalize the sealing of the document. The signature and date may be written by hand or electronically produced. What documents should receive a professional seal? Professional engineers and professional structural engineers must place their seal on the following documents as long as they are either the final version or being presented to a client, a building official, or filed with public authorities: plans, specifications, and reports. Professional land surveyors should place their seal on the following documents: plans, maps, sketches, surveys, drawings, plats, and reports. Licensees must place their seal and signature on all original copies to ensure their seal and signature will be clearly recognizable on all future copies. Working drawings or preliminary documents do not need to be sealed, as long as the document or drawing contains a statement in big, bold letters stating preliminary, not for construction, recording purposes, implementation, or a similar statement. Who can use the seal? Only the professional themselves can sign and date their seal. It is the licensee's responsibility to keep their seal secure, especially if they choose to have an electronic seal, as the licensee assumes responsibility for any document that contains their seal. But what about a licensee's colleagues or employees? Can they use the licensee's seal? No, only the licensee themselves may seal, sign, and date a document. However, it may be acceptable for a colleague or draftsman to place the licensee's electronic seal on a document with their permission, and then the licensee will later sign and date themselves. A professional engineer, professional structural engineer, or professional land surveyor may seal work they personally prepared, but they may also place their seal on work prepared by their employee, subordinate, associate, or drafter, as long as the licensee supervises and assumes responsibility for the work. Licensed engineers may also place their seal on work prepared by any other licensed professional engineer, professional structural engineer, or architect from any state. Additionally, licensed engineers may place their seal on work prepared by a person exempt from licensure as a professional engineer, professional structural engineer, or architect as long as the following criteria are met. The Utah licensee performs a thorough review of all work for compliance with applicable laws and rules and meets standards within the profession. The Utah licensee makes any necessary corrections before submitting the final document to a building official or client. What if there are multiple professional engineers, professional structural engineers, or architects working on a project? If an engineering or structural engineering licensee is only preparing a portion of a plan, specification, or report, the licensee may use their seal on the document as long as they clearly state what portion they are responsible for and reviews and corrects it to ensure it is compliant with professional standards, and makes any necessary corrections before submitting the final document to a building official or client. What if the document contains multiple sheets? Do you need to stamp each page? Only the title page or first page requires a seal and signature, unless there are multiple licensees working on the document. In that case, there are two options. The first option is the licensee in responsible charge and other licensees involved seal, sign, and date the first or title page with a note explaining what subject matter each licensee is responsible for. The second option is only the licensee in charge seals, signs, and dates the first or title page. Other licensees involved will then seal, sign, and date any additional sheets they are responsible for. What if there's an error on a document that's already been sealed and signed? If a licensee needs to make a revision to a document that has already received a seal and signature, they must describe and date each revision. If the person making the revisions is not the original licensee who placed the seal on the document, the revisions must be sealed and signed by the licensee responsible for said revisions. What if I submit a document without a seal or someone else uses my seal? Submitting work to a client, building official, or public authority that is incomplete and does not have a seal qualifies as unprofessional conduct. Knowingly or unknowingly allowing someone else to use your seal also qualifies as unprofessional conduct, as it is the licensee's responsibility to ensure their seal is secure. If the Division of Occupational and Professional Licensing discovers a licensee has committed an act that qualifies as unprofessional conduct, the licensee may be subject to a citation, fine, and in extreme cases, have their license revoked. To summarize, only the licensee themselves can use their seal. Licensees must always review the work of others if they plan on placing a seal on a document, and the licensee assumes responsibility for any document or work that has their seal attached to it. For more information on engineer and land surveyor licensing, go to dopl.utah.gov/ENG.